everybody. This is Anne and Shirley, and we are here with Leanne Triggs. So we are going to do a really intensive interview with Leanne Triggs and the amazing company that we have here at Youghiogheny Glass. So Leanne, this is Leanne, and I want you to talk a little bit about the history of Yacht Glass and the message that you would like to come across of what you guys represent in this community.
Great. So Youghiogheny Glass, we've been here since 1976. We've been in our current location here in the actual city for about 15 years, and previously we were up on West Side Hill in Trotter. We manufacture sheets of stained glass for the stained glass industry. We sell off to wholesalers and distributors who then eventually sell to retail stores where the end user would buy it and use it for their panels, windows, things along those lines. We specialize in making glass that would be Tiffany companies, studios, reproduction glass. So a lot of people are using our glass to make reproductions.
That's pretty
Tiffany
impressive.
Glass studios. So things like that. We ship worldwide. There's at least 9 different countries that I ship to, and about 50% of our product goes directly to Japan. They're our biggest consumer. The Japanese people have a real appreciation for American art and Western culture.
That's amazing.
It's really neat. We make, I think there's over 400 different lines of, or color combinations of glass that we make. Some of it's fusible, some of it's not fusible. There's lots of different things that you can do with stained glass in general. It's a robust industry.
Now, has this been in the same family since its beginning?
It has, yes. So John Triggs started the company with the help of his father-in-law, Frank Mongell. John's history was in selling colorants for the ceramic industry, and so he knew a lot about how to make colored glass. Frank's background was at Anchor, so he knew a lot about making glass and the furnaces and a lot of the very industrial stuff that goes along with that. And we've owned it ever since. John passed away about 10 years ago, and my husband and I have been running the company ever since.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Now, you used to have, I believe it was a retail store over where the old train station. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I believe it was probably the late 80s through the early 2000s, we did have a retail gallery where we would sell a lot of finished products, lamps, windows, paperweights, and we'd offer classes and things along those lines to the local community. It was in the old train station, which is now owned by Somerset Trust Bank, and I think they're opening that up as a community center for everybody. And that was just a lot of fun to have. It was nice to see different clients come in for something other than just working materials, to come in and see the finished product as a whole.
Well, I know from our experience, I know there's a lot of places, people in the community that use your glass that are stained glass artists. Yeah. But has your glass been used like any other place that they, maybe people would recognize?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously it's used worldwide, and a lot of times it's mixed with other manufacturers' glass. But one very local example would be at Pitt Greensburg on the bell tower. There is a huge stained glass window that is made out of 100% Youghiogheny glass. And that's open to the public. Anybody can be up there on their grounds and just look up at the bell tower and you'll see it.
I went to Pitt at Greensburg, so I recommend going there because the campus itself is beautiful.
It really is.
It is beautiful. It is a beautiful campus. So now it's just you and your husband now that's running it. Now, how many employees do you have here?
We have 10 employees altogether, including ourselves.
And they mainly, though, work in the back where the actual processing takes place.
So 7 of them are on the production staff between, mixing the batch, running the sheets out, and then trimming them and quality inspection at the end. I have a warehouse manager who packs up all the orders and gets them ready to ship, again, worldwide.
Yeah. He's my buddy.
Yeah. Steve.
Plug to Steve there because he's always so nice when I come in.
He's camera shy, so but that's it. But he really is the one who makes sure that the glass gets to where it has to go.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about what makes obviously you have different types of glass.
I mean, look around.
Is it
such
like
a beautiful
is
rainbow.
it like the contents that you put in the glass, or how it's poured, or the thickness of it? Could you just give us a little bit of idea of if somebody was wanting to get into stained glass and they're buying glass for the first time, they really don't know what the different type of glasses are and what they're for.
So we specifically have 7 different lines of glass, which is a lot, so I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail about all of them. But the 2 main differences is there's fusing glass and then there's traditional stained glass. Fusing glass can also be used in traditional work, but traditional stained glass cannot be used for fusing. Fusing is similar to working with ceramics, where you would take several sheets of glass and kind of stack them up or build a pattern out of it and then put it in a kiln and fire it, and they'll melt together to make one final piece. Where traditional work, you're going to cut and then soil or foil and solder the pieces together to make a lamp or a panel or something that you would hang in a window. When you're just getting started, it's nice to just look around and get a variety of colors and get an idea of a pattern, some things that you want to do. I find for our very specialty projects, it goes to big studios and people like that are making replications or redos of Tiffany lamps, windows, things along those lines, and they need very specific colors and sizes and things.
Probably more like people who have an actual stained glass studio.
Yeah.
That they produce a lot of different things. One of the things I personally want you to talk about, if you don't mind, we see all of this beautiful artwork behind
I was
it,
gonna
and
ask
we
about
know
that also.
we know it's you're using Youghiogheny glass, but could you tell us something about, like,
Any
did
of
you
these
do them? Did
pieces?
somebody else do them?
Well, I'm going to start with something very funny. Is the people who have made all of the panels that are in here, they really like to make panels and they really like making animals and things along those lines. And when we first met them, we told them that Youghiogheny glass is not made for animals. It's really made for lamps and more of a garden look. And they took that as a challenge, and they have now
I beg to differ.
created all of these animals out of Youghiogheny glass, and they're really helping us to put it out there to the more average user rather than the big studio. But all the work has been done by Tim and Alice Biza of Hedgesville, West Virginia.
Wow.
And they're big fans of our glass, and they're good friends. And they ran out of space in their house, and so they started bringing all their panels here.
Wow.
Can we be their friends?
I want to be their friend too.
Yes.
I would like them to make me one of
The
those
Adirondack.
Adirondack right down there.
I will let them know. They're hobbyists. They don't sell anything. A lot of our customers, they build these panels and then they resell them at art shows or in galleries, things along those lines.
Yeah.
They do it really just for their own entertainment. And so they're actually starting to run out of space here in my warehouse and are going to be looking for a new home for some panels pretty soon.
I know a
we
place.
do have a gallery. Just saying.
That their work is amazing, that they should be selling it. And so
self-doubt
hopefully someday
artists. Yeah.
they will maybe come and fill out the Appalachian Creativity Center.
If
with
you're
some
out
panels.
there, please come see us.
I will yell for her.
Now, do you have any plans in the future for doing classes here, or are you just going to maintain it as a factory?
I would love to do classes and things like that here, but I don't have the time or the space or the staff to do things along those lines. So we really count on you to be
There you go.
our local ambassador of teaching the art of stained glass. One of the biggest threats in our industry is that our general clientele is older. I would say I'm younger than all of my customers by at least 10 years. And there's not a lot of education going on to the younger generations about stained glass. It's becoming a lost art. And that is really the biggest threat to the industry, is just getting new people interested in learning the art and the techniques.
Well, the good news is that our youngest student is 13 years old. And we had another student that was 14 years old. So we do have a lot of the younger generation
We
that's
do.
starting to get interested in it. And two of our artists, me and CJ Paxanos, are both under the age of 60. So
That's
we're
always lovely work. Yeah,
CJ
Yes, she does. She
She's got
does.
stuff in our
Yeah, because we actually have 4 stained glass artists in our gallery. We have Daniel Cox, which a lot of
He's
people in the
amazing.
area know who he is,
Yes.
simply because of everything he's done.
He does a lot for our community.
Exactly, and we've got Bob Dulick, who's from Uniontown. He's very popular doing
Repair work.
Yeah, repair work. So anytime-
Churches,
yeah.
church windows. There's a lot of church windows.
Exactly, and he's made a couple custom jobs that we've recommended him for.
We have several.
And then CJ, and then myself, and I don't have as much stuff in there as everybody else because I usually do one as a sample for one of the classes,
Yes.
and then it disappears.
Yes.
So I don't ever have
know
any.
what happens
Yeah,
to you.
yeah, I don't know.
I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but we have stained glasses stained glass classes on a regular basis. We probably do 3 or 4 a month now. They've become so popular. So
You do a great job picking a simple project that they're able to finish in a couple classes, because I find stained glass is tedious work.
It is.
And that seems to be the biggest deterrent for a lot of people, is that it takes a long time and a lot of concentration.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize it can be hard on the body when you're standing there grinding the pieces, cutting the pieces. And we did have a situation where we did have one student come in, and they had some health issues, and it was very difficult for them to do it. They had problems with carpal tunnel and things
Yeah.
like that. Over time, it does have an effect
takes
on you.
its toll.
It takes its
However, I will say, and if you've done stained glass, which I know you have, one of the things about stained glass that I find is that when you're doing the grinding, especially, I almost get into like a meditative trance.
You get into a
Every
groove.
one of
Yeah.
our students have said that too. When they're doing the grind, they're not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
They're just thinking about that.
So if you're looking for something to get your mind off things,
It's a great escape.
It really is.
It's a great escape.
It really
and
is.
you end up with a beautiful piece of art afterwards.
And a
so,
skill.
And a skill, yes, definitely a skill, and it's something that you can do. Time and time again. We not only have several classes, but in the future we're hoping to actually open up a stained glass studio
Yeah.
over at our place that we can actually have like people come in if they've done several of our classes,
Yeah.
already know what's going on. And we already know that we have a source for the glass.
Yes, there is
Makes it
definitely a
nice.
source for the glass. I have a lot of it. So.
Leanne, now I know you and I have talked about this, and as amazing and beautiful as it is to come and walk around, this is not a building that's open to the public. So we want
not-
to talk about that.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily open to the public. Obviously, all of our inventory is housed here, and it's glass, so it breaks. So it's not a place where anybody can just come in and walk around. We are open to the trade, so people who are doing stained glass, own a studio, or not own a studio, but just someone who's doing it, we're open for you to come in and walk around from 9 until 2, Monday through Friday, and Steve's usually here on Saturday mornings. And so we have a variety of scrap glass and smaller cuts for the hobbyists, and then we also have, the full sheets, which you're allowed to look through. We are one of only 4 stained glass manufacturers left in the United States. And so it is kind of neat that you're local, and people who are not from here are very jealous of folks who are able to just stop in and say hello. So as long as you are familiar with glass and stained glass, you're welcome to stop by. We do
Would
not
you
offer tours.
strongly suggest that if someone is very interested, simply to call and talk to you first?
Yeah, that's the
Do you want to
key.
give them that information?
Yeah, so our phone number is 724-628-3000, not to be confused with the school district's phone number, which is 3300. Mine is 3000. And just call and make an appointment, or let us know that you're coming in, and we're happy to show you around. We're not able to give tours of the production area in the back. There's just too many things that go on, and we don't have the things set up for safety.
There are safety guidelines
There's a lot
and
of
a lot
safety
of insurance
guidelines.
issues. Yeah.
Insurance is always an issue. But it still is neat to look at all the glass if you have some
I would
knowledge
think
of
that
it.
you wouldn't even need to go back there because there's so much that would occupy you
There is.
in these spaces.
And even now that we have all of these panels in here, because this is really relatively new that we have finished artwork in the last year, so there is things to look at now.
Well, one question I do have for you. Now, I think it was last year you went to Las Vegas to introduce new
Without
lines.
me.
Without both of us.
I'm sorry, I'm going again this year.
But it was to introduce new lines of glass. How often do you actually introduce new lines of glass?
Recently, very often. With all of the recent changes within the stained glass industry, a lot of the other companies are downsizing, and since we've always been the smallest, it has created an opportunity for us to upsize. And so we have introduced 4 new lines of glass in the last 2 years.
Now, what determines a new line of glass? Is it how it's manufactured? Is it the color?
It's all about how it's manufactured.
All about how
so we introduced a line of textured glass, which is a granite texture. So when you're looking at it, there's pieces that'll look more full and more like leaves or textured glass. We introduced the line of fusible glass, which was very brand new to us. And our most recent introduction is a line of truly dichroic glass. So
I'm
that
not
glass,
familiar with that, so I'm very curious.
that glass will change color based on the kind of light that you put through it. Most people that are familiar with what they call dichro, they're used to it being a coating that is sprayed on top of glass, and it gives like that shiny, shimmery change in light. Where our glass, this is an ancient Roman technique that people have been really trying for years and years and years to figure out. Tristan, the mad scientist that he is, after 15 years of research and development, has finally developed a stable formula where we're able to produce this glass. And under translucent light, reflected light, anything, it's going to change colors. All the reds will turn to purples and blues. The yellows will turn pink. It's really neat. So I actually have a set of that headed up to the Corning Museum of Glass in New York for them to research, and then hopefully we'll be writing some papers and things about how to make the dichroic glass.
I'm looking forward to that.
Well,
actually.
I know, I don't think people realize that how beautiful the glass is here. And when the very first time we came over here, Anne picked up 4 pieces of glass.
Okay.
We're not allowed to touch.
mine.
She literally still has them wrapped in the
True, 'cause I haven't
foam
found
because she
exactly
doesn't.
what I'm looking
Yeah,
for
she
with them
but she
yet.
thought that the glass itself was like such a work of art.
Yes.
I do.
That,
I'm
yeah.
considering just framing the glass.
I
Yeah.
often wonder why people don't just frame the
Yeah,
glass.
because the
and I
colors
will
are
say that
beautiful, just as they are.
yeah, and I will say whenever we're talking in our stained glass classes, and I try to explain to them how, how diverse the glass is.
Yeah.
I actually pull out Anne's panels.
She makes me nervous
and
when she does that, 'cause I'm
I
very
open them up.
specific.
Please don't break it.
And well, and I said, now, just so you know, this cannot be chosen for your project.
Yeah.
And I make sure that it's gently wrapped back
But
up.
but
Because it is-
the thing of it
stays
is,
wrapped.
when I do open up this glass, okay, everybody has the same response that Anne had when she originally picked up that glass. They're like, oh, "This is
Normally
so
I'm a
beautiful."
giving
This
person, but I'm very
Right.
selfish about that glass.
And-
It's
I like that.
mine.
And the
It's
other
mine.
piece, I had bought one of the end pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just love the combination of the blues and everything.
pretty.
And I show that to everybody as well, and they're like, "Oh, you could just put that up in the window." And
Yes.
so I mean,
Probably going to frame all 4 pieces and put them together.
Yeah.
Like a little mosaic
Yeah.
shade of some sort.
yeah, but
If
like
I can step away for 1 second, I will grab a piece of the dichroic glass.
Oh.
And we'll play with the light here, and
Yeah,
I'll
and we'll
show you what
just-
it does.
I
we'll
love
just
it.
stay here
Yeah.
and talk to Rick a little bit.
We can talk to you.
Well, what we're going to talk about is our classes at Appalachian Creativity Center, which is located at 139 West Crawford Avenue, and we offer several different stained glass. Most of them are just basic classes, and that's because we're trying to get more and more people interested in stained glass. And so about once, well, actually probably maybe 3 times a month, we have classes.
We have scheduled classes, and then we have private classes
Yeah.
as well, because not everybody's schedule is as routine as others. So
Here we go. Leanne's back, so
We're
we're
back
going
with the
to look
professional
at this.
now.
This is my favorite demonstration to do. This is what we did in Vegas last year when
Uh-huh.
you guys
All right.
were not there. So this class, I don't know how well you're going to see the picture through the
can you
camera.
see that pretty good, Rick?
But so it appears very brick red and opaque when it's not lit. And I have another piece of glass behind it to keep any light from coming. But then when you remove that, everything that was red is
Oh.
going to turn to blues and purples,
Wow.
basically. And so what that is
Yeah.
there's colloids in the glass.
Do you want her to hold that up a little bit longer? You got it.
And so what happens is as the light comes through, it hits those colloids, and then the light is dispersed in different directions, bringing out different spectrum of color within the glass.
I love that. Oh
Now,
yeah.
I have a
that's-
question about.
Another pretty one.
Oh, look at the green.
Oh
in
my
that
goodness,
one.
is that beautiful?
I love this section right there.
Now,
Anything that's bright red is what's going to change there to purple. So that's kind of our
that's
neatest,
so awesome.
neatest thing, and
pretty
that's
awesome.
probably the most unique thing to Youghiogheny right now because no other manufacturer has been able to figure that one out yet.
Well, I have a
And their
question
secrets
because,
are not up for
like, I
sale,
know
guys.
Tristan.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was a mad scientist, though.
He's the mad scientist.
Does he have like a little chemical lab back here that?
I mean, per se, yeah, not really, but yeah.
His own style of it.
Yeah,
I'm
so we're
certain.
our own
Yeah.
style of chemical.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when he used to play instruments and things like that. I didn't realize he was a mad scientist.
Still does that
Yeah,
too, so.
yeah. So, but anyways, do you have anything you would like to add about, like, do you have a website that people could go to?
We do. So our website is just youghiogheny.com. It's very simple. If you can spell Youghiogheny, you can find it. My Facebook page, you guys should all be able to spell
your shirt.
Youghiogheny.
It's on your shirt.
And there's also a Facebook page. The Facebook page is very interesting because we have a lot of our users, which would be these world famous artists, post their finished work on there. And so you see Tiffany replica windows and some of the most amazing stained glass work gets posted onto our Facebook page. So it's really neat to see.
That would be great to see. We look at it frequently. Whenever you went to Las Vegas, I bet you I went back to that site probably 5 or 6 times just looking at the glass. I just find the glass to be beautiful and just in so many ways. And every time I come here, I think I've seen it all, and then I look at another section and I'm like,
always more.
there's always more. There's
I
always
think it's
more.
interesting because you yourself have used multiple kinds of glass, and
And I
most
prefer
often
Youghiogheny.
We use our first choice
Yeah.
is Youghiogheny.
Yeah.
But if we aren't able to come by, maybe for one reason
Yeah.
or holiday or whatever, and we have purchased, unforgivably, I'm sorry, a few pieces from somewhere else, and the moment that we went to cut that glass, it cracked. it cracked right away. It was not as strong. It was not as easy to work with, and that was such a bad decision on our part. So we can tell you firsthand. This is where you need to get your glass.
Well, I think also, I think probably one of the most wonderful things about Youghiogheny though is the fact that this is like one of the original industries in Connellsville. Like this
Connellsville's
is
just so much known for glass.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's just
yeah.
because of Anchor and everything. So we really just were able to slide
Yeah.
right in and
Yeah, but that's what I said. I think that in itself, I mean, like I said, the fact that, you're here in Connellsville, and I'm surprised by so many people that don't know you're here.
a lot of people
You
don't
know?
know we're here because so many people do not do stained glass.
Yeah, and so we're hoping to change that for you.
Our building is a little hidden.
It
Yeah.
is very
It is
Yeah.
a little hidden.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
would
the
say
first
that-
time we got here, I was a little confused as to where she
Yeah,
was driving.
I got lost the second time too, so I'm going to
90%
admit.
of my daily phone calls are people in front of Head Start trying to figure out where we are. And
Yeah, that
we're
makes
used to it, and we're okay with that. So it works out just fine. But
Now, one thing I have a question for: whenever you're coming up to the to your business here,
Yeah.
there's little bits of glass out there.
Very pretty.
Now that's like, is that just stuff that like is left
Is it a
over from back
remnants, or is
there?
it would be like the remnants of the glass that had been crushed, scraps that were so small that nobody could even use them, and they go through a crusher, and we basically use it as gravel replacement.
But it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does. It looks beautiful.
If you're
Yeah.
on Instagram or something along those lines and you search pound Youghiogheny glass or hashtag, I think they call it hashtag Youghiogheny glass, the most amount of pictures that you will find are people that were here that took a picture of the driveway. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
really neat.
Yeah.
Something
blame
else
them.
that's interesting to see if you are moseying around down here, there is a poke gym at the back end of our building, so I know there's a lot of people that drive down here. But if you look up at the silos, they have beautiful paintwork on them and mosaic.
Yeah.
And it's just a really neat
I don't think
scene
I've
to
ever
take a
noticed
look.
that. I'm gonna have to look.
Where
It
have
has
you
all
been?
4 seasons.
I don't know.
It really is beautiful.
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
it's
don't think I've ever noticed
actually
that.
a beautiful
It's
work
really
of art.
neat. Why have I not noticed
I've seen quite a few pictures online from it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't think I've
yeah.
ever seen
Bicyclists when they go through the Youghiogheny, the Greater Allegheny Passageway. That's one of the places they'll stop and take a photograph.
Well, huh.
It's sort of I see it
Also
as
the arch by
yeah.
mountains.
I've
Yeah.
seen the arch.
See, I see the arch
The arch
as
is
like
beautiful.
the intro and the exit to
Yes.
Connellsville, and the water tower as the intro and the exit
It really is.
to Connellsville. It really
I guess
is.
we get you on your way in,
Yeah,
on your way out, no matter
yeah.
what.
I'll take you and show you. So,
very
so,
good.
but anyways, just to wrap up, like I said, we want to thank you for
Thank you guys.
taking the time to put up with us.
I love putting up with you guys. You're,
may-
two of my favorites.
So we want to thank you for that, and also giving us the information, about. But before I go, I have to ask one question because
I'm afraid.
I want to know, like, okay, when you go back and you're making the glass, what exactly is the process? Don't tell us the chemical, but like, what is the process?
Okay, so the process is archaic at best. Truly, we have, I think there's 6 furnaces back there that are each full of a different color of glass. And so then each of our ladlers will go and take a scoop with a big, long soup ladle on a long stick into the furnace and pull out one color of glass. They bring it to our rolling table, and that's where they get mixed together and then shoved through the rollers, which is what flattens it out. And that also helps to mix the colors a little bit more. It goes into a striker through a leer where it cools off slowly. Glass needs to be annealed so that it doesn't shatter. It cools off over an hour from about 1,000 degrees down to about 100 degrees. And that's really about it.
To make one piece of glass, about how long does that process
And
take?
the entire process, that's cooling as well.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so the cooling process is 57 minutes through the leer, but the actual scooping and rolling it out flat is about 2 minutes. So you got 1 hour to make one sheet of glass, but the glass does melt overnight. So at the end of our production day today, they'll reload the furnaces to put in glass for us to roll out tomorrow. So
Now-
you have the overnight melting, 2 minutes of scooping it and actually handling it, and then an hour.
This is
cooling
not
it
a
off.
15-minute project.
It is
No,
not.
it is. So like whenever it rolls off and
Yeah.
it's a sheet of glass, like do they get like stacked, or I mean, do they just laid, or?
Yeah, so they basically, I don't have anything near me. There's a card, they just kind of get stacked up onto a card where my cutter will go through to make sure there's no imperfections or cracks or anything wrong with the glass. They get labeled for production or labeled as a misfit. If it's a misfit, it ends up over here. If it's production, it ends up
Bought a
over
lot of
there.
those misfits
Yeah,
that are
the misfits
beautiful.
yeah.
The misfits are beautiful, but they cannot be copied. So
I know.
It's
It's
okay.
okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
And then it gets packed up into wooden crates, and like I said, we ship to, like I said, mostly to Japan via ocean container. But we ship to Canada, we ship to Europe, we ship all over Europe, we ship to Africa, we ship pretty much
amazing.
everywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That really is amazing.
And that's coming right here from Connellsville.
Connellsville.
Little old
Yeah.
Connellsville. Well, like I said, I just really want to thank you because, like I said, this is obviously something that interests me. And like I said, Appalachian Creativity Center, we do offer classes there. We do use.
Definitely take a
Yeah.
class at Appalachian Creativity
Yeah.
Center
We have
there.
a mosaic class tonight.
Yeah, we have a mosaic class tonight, but we have several stained glass classes that are coming up. And like I said, our youngest artist that we have is 13 years old. And she actually enjoys it, so shout out to Quinn there.
Very good, Quinn.
Yeah.
Speaking of the younger users, I did want to mention, now that I think about it, I do have a program where I make donations to schools, usually middle schools or high schools, where if they're going to teach glass in their art program, whatever they buy, I double. So I generally tell them just order half of what you need, and then I will give them the other half.
That's really nice.
Just as an
That's
incentive
really
for them
nice.
to teach glass to the students. Because if you teach 20, 10 of them are going to do it twice, 5 of them might do it 3 times, but at least one of them is going to turn into a fantastic
So teachers, if you're out there, you need to
Teachers.
call Leanne
Keep that in
Triggs
mind.
at Youghiogheny Glass.
628-3000.
And if you have any difficulties, you can call me and Ann, and we'll be glad to help you through anything
make sure you get in contact
having to do with the actual class itself. But like I said, this is, we don't want stained glass to be a dying art form. It's probably one of the most beautiful art forms that's ever come about. If you don't believe us, just walk through through Connellsville and see all the stained glass and all the churches. It's just amazing. Even a lot of the houses have beautiful.
Those windows all through it, correct? Yes.
Yep. So anyways, please come check us out at Appalachian Creativity Center. If you need more information about Youghiogheny Glass, please call Leanne. She'll be glad to help you out. And hopefully one of us will be seeing you soon. So you have a good day, and we're out of here.